All right, so I don't know what happened there. I heard something go pop. And as soon as I heard that, I shut it down. It was while I was slowly throttling up. So I wanted to make sure that everything was okay. It could have been a big air bubble, but yeah, temperature-wise, we're good. It could have been a bit, oh, the intake collapsed. That's what happened. Yeah. Dang. All right, well, I'll bring you guys in and show you. So, if you can see the bottom of the intake there, it's got a split in it. So the intake went kunk. It's probably, I don't know if we'll be able to see all the way. So I think the camera's not going to pick that up because it's going to be too blurry, but yeah, I can see where the intake had issues. Well, dang. So a couple thoughts on that. So basically obviously the turbine's moving a crap ton of air. That's the thing. This plane ran with the Olympus engine, which is a big engine, but the other thing is there's no ram air going into the aircraft, so that's going to cause extra issues as well too. So when the engine's trying to suck all of the air from the intake there, that's kind of the worst case scenario. While the plane is flying, you've got air being rammed into the nose of the aircraft. So I can't remember what throttle percentage I was at, but I was definitely getting closer to the max, like probably, if I had to guess, 75%. So not the end of the world. That's definitely it's a positive thing that it happened now, and it's a positive thing that it's not that bad. So what the difference though is we need to take that duct out, the intake duct, and we need to sand it down and do a bunch of reinforcing on that duct. Now that duct had some carbon tow wrapped around it, but it's definitely needs some extra reinforcing. So time to start taking this plane apart again. Well, the fortunate thing when you're putting one of these together, starting fresh and then getting to this point is you know where everything is run and how everything works. So it took 45 minutes to get this disassembled, which actually wasn't that bad. The only real issue with the disassembly is you have to cut the vent lines. Now, if these were a little bit longer, maybe if they were Tygon, we could get the duct out here with this all assembled, but so I cut these. We will be okay to reuse them, but you may have to change the vent lines, you know, if you do this enough times. But so that's basically it. We've got everything pushed back in the back end, and the duct itself, not as bad as I thought, but the collapse is right there, right in front of the turbine. So the bypass of the turbine sits right here. So definitely not as bad as I thought it was going to be. That was a big scary noise. So I'm just going to spend some time sanding this guy down. And what I'm going to do now is we're going to wrap some fiberglass over this entire area. So we'll do a strip over top of the crack, and then we'll do a reinforcement around this entire section, basically butting right up to our battery holders there. And we'll inspect the rest of it. You know, areas like this, probably we should just basically do the entire bottom of this thing. The top side does have a carbon strip here. This is carbon, run all the way front to back. But the underside does have a reinforcing piece in the center there, but obviously it's out. We know we had a problem, so we're going to deal with the problem and make it better. So there definitely is a chance here that this crack could have been part of the other crack that we repaired right there on that side. You can see it better from the inside. So the crunch that we repaired previously, and it kind of looks like that crunch may have come around this way. So anyways, it was obviously invisible, but maybe at one point this got squished and it created a stress crack there. So anyways, we don't know, but so what we do to fix this is I get the duct line back up, so edge to edge here, and then we just are going to run some CA along the joint here. That just helps hold everything in place while we're working on this. Most of this will get sanded down when we sand the outside of the duct, but we need this to be fairly strong to begin with. There we go. So what we'll do now is we'll pull our palm sander out. Nice to use power tools in this case. And basically what we're doing is essentially getting rid of the paint. So there's the black paint that I put on here, but there's also primer or gray paint that was installed previously. So we need to get down to a reasonable surface where our fiberglass can actually bite into something. So this is the palm sander that I used with, I think that 60 grit sandpaper. Went really aggressive just to make it quick and sanded this out. So that's what the duct looks like now. Came to about the 50% mark on both sides, and basically the lower 3 panels, I guess we'll call it, of the rear portion of the duct. This is the front section, and of course there's already carbon toe on there. So yeah, so we're going to get some West Systems epoxy mixed up and get this thing going. Now, of course, when you're dealing with stuff like this, we could use quick epoxy. The downside is that it's not as strong. So we're going to use West Systems. What does that mean? It means that we need to get this thing fiberglassed and put it aside until tomorrow, because it's going to take about 24 hours to cure. Fortunately, this is the underside of the duct, so we don't really need to paint it afterwards because it's going to be invisible, but I'll probably end up just quickly shooting some black paint on there just before we reinstall it tomorrow. So I'll show you guys the final product here with West Systems, but it's quite simple. Lay the fiberglass down, paint the epoxy on. It's pretty simple stuff. All right, so used my scale, mixed up some West Systems 105 and 206 hardener. We're just going to get this mixed up now, and then we will do our glassing work. All right, and this size of work space / materials kind of in between brush sizes, so I'll just use one of our small brushes. I have all my pieces pre-cut here, and this should go together fairly well. The only tough one is going to be the carbon, because we have to bend it around the profile, but usually it holds its shape quite well. And I don't want to add too much size at this front portion there, because that will impede going into the actual bypass that the turbine sits in. So So the nice thing about the using the layer of 3/4 ounce cloth over top of the carbon is the edges kind of secure everything down as well too. I don't have any vacuum bagging stuff, so I've never done that. So this is what I'm doing. All right, now these edges here that don't have epoxy on them or that haven't stuck down, we'll come back once this is cured and just sand those guys off, and they'll just basically disappear. Now for these mid sections, I'm just using 3/4 ounce cloth because I don't think we need to go anything above and beyond that. And the excess of epoxy and fiberglass will just add a decent amount of reinforcement. And then just adding my second layer over top. All right, guys, and that is the process. So quite straightforward, and I think everything is going to be much stronger now. Obviously, we just have to leave this set aside and do its thing till tomorrow, and then we can sand down all the excess fiberglass, and we will get this painted. So we'll see you guys in about 1 second when it fast forwards to tomorrow. All right, guys, so we have the duct all done here. I just finished touching up the paint. Now, I didn't do the entire underside because it's all invisible. I basically just did the sides. So I sanded the fiberglass off and the carbon and everything, and that's basically what it looks like. So it's much stiffer now. Like this area before was quite flexible, much stiffer throughout this entire area. So I think that'll be a good change. So it's time to put this thing back together. Now, one thing I did notice is we put 2 restrictors on the canopy open close. The downside with that is I think it's too much. So I found previously when we were getting this thing set up, when the canopy would go to the close mode, it was kind of just hanging there. The cylinder was hanging, and then it would close. And by that time, the delay I had on the locks was too much. So what I'm going to do is take one of those restrictors out, which are these guys right here. So I'll take that Robart restrictor out, and then we'll just add a little nipple in there in its place, and that will should be all good, solve that problem. All right, so we got our duct back in, we've got our bypass, turbine and everything reinstalled. Check the position of the turbine, that's all good. Everything's from the back forward is all screwed in. Next thing to do is get our duct fastened down, our front duct, so there's the 4 bolts there. And then after that, we'll start getting our internals put back together. All right, so cockpit's back in, everything is back in place. The only thing we have left to do is the canopy. Just wanted to give you guys a shot here of how we've done everything. So we've repeated all the antenna mounts exactly the same as before. So none of that is different. Yeah, I feel like last time I was trying to get this all hooked up with the canopy attached to this piece. Having the canopy off is much easier. We have more access to this area, so that's really good. Obviously, we've got our connections there. We were able to reuse the vent lines because we cut them off as tight as possible, so the vent system kind of shrunk a little bit, which is totally fine. And these are our air connections that go to the lock cylinder. So I'm gonna get the canopy installed. She's close. Well, here we are at round 2. So everything's been put back together. We have 3 liters of fuel in the aircraft. Batteries are installed, aircraft's on. Now it's crazy windy outside. The fortunate thing is the wind is coming from this direction, that way. It's actually like my trailer almost looks like it's being blown forward. So when we open up the shop door here, the wind should be going with our opening. So hopefully that makes sense. But so round 2, what we're gonna do is we are going to attempt to get to max throttle. Now we have turned this engine down. Yes, this engine is way too much engine for this plane. So what I've done is I've turned it down to 200 newtons. Now on the Chikoi data relay module and GSU, it's super simple. You just go into the run menu, crank it down, and it automatically adjusts the RPM of the engine. So I don't know how the sound's gonna be depending on how the wind is. So we'll see. Anyways, we're gonna run this. I'll put up on the screen what's happening, and I'll try and hopefully you guys can I'll position the camera so you can see my throttle setting. All right, so it doesn't seem too bad with our wind and everything. It's just circling and blowing stuff inside. So, try number 2.
Turbine on. Burner on. speed.
Success. That is friggin' awesome, guys. Temperature-wise, amazing. No part of the back of that plane is even warm to the touch. Awesome. Cool down, top of the bypass where we've got some BVM ceramic stuff is just warm to the touch. Amazing. Reason I use a blower in this scenario is because with a full bypass, you really want to have air flowing down the bypass. So now that I had that blowing off, the bypass is cool to the touch, which is why when you're cooling down a turbine aircraft, you always point the inlets into the wind, so the wind is blowing through the aircraft. Man, am I ever happy. So happy. Well, I just wanted to share with you guys sort of my emotions when I'm dealing with a project like this. Obviously, we're trying to, put amazing things on camera, and you only get to see little snippets of everything that we go through here. But this has been an absolute struggle, this project so far. And I'm extremely happy and satisfied that we are where we're at. So, huge sigh of relief. Last thing to do with this aircraft is the CG. It seems easy now. We never know, we might be way off and have to disassemble it and put some more weight in, who knows? But I'm hoping that we're bang on. So I'm gonna pull the fuel out of the tanks. Reason for that is on this aircraft, the fuel is right over the CG location. So we're gonna do that. The CG on this plane's a little bit weird. There's supposed to be two like indents on the leading edge of the wing, and those indents are covered in flight metal, so I don't know where they are. But there's a measurement we can do back on the leading edge, and then you lift it up from the leading edge at that location. So that's probably how we're gonna do it, but we're gonna put the plane back on scales to check the weight. So if you're watching this video, if you remember, we started off this plane at 42.9 pounds. That's what it weighed in this configuration with all of the original equipment. My guess was 38 pounds. I'm curious to know what your guys' guess is. Comment down below with what you think we lost in weight. I'm still sticking with 38 pounds, but I think we did better. Fingers crossed. Nice shoes. All right, so we've got the marks done on the aircraft, and what these are is 19.5 inches back on the leading edge. There's supposed to be some marks on the fuselage, but of course, because the flight metal's covering it, we don't have those marks. So I've measured it 19.5 inches. So we got the fuel out of the plane. Batteries, of course, are installed. We're gonna do this the rudimentary way and see what happens.
Wait, I don't think I can lift it. No, I can't.
All right, so I'm not overly keen on this this method of the leading edge stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run a string line across to the other side and get our mark here for our CG location. And that is going to give us the opportunity to be able to use our RC CG machine, which is gonna be way better, way better. Okay, so I have taken a string and run it across the wings from the 19.5 mark to the 19.5 mark. Got it as centered as possible. And then I put another tape mark at the fuselage to wing joint there. And now we'll be able to measure back and get that measurement. Now there are different manuals floating around, like the newer version of this aircraft, which is I mean, generally it could be the same, but the layout and the design and everything is totally different. So that's why we're using this style or this way of measuring it, because it's the older generation version, I guess, is the way to say it. So now we're gonna pull out our RCCG machine, get that put together, and get this aircraft on the RCCG machine. And speaking of RCCG machine, we have a discount code. You guys can get, I think it's $100 off. The lighter side is your discount code. So if you are interested in getting a RCCG machine, use the discount code and you get some savings on your fantastic device. Well, here is the test. So 42, what were we? 42.9 pounds previously, and our new weight, 39 pounds even. So I was actually a little overzealous in my calculations. So, but essentially we lost 4 pounds off this aircraft. So 43 to 39 pounds, which is phenomenal. Yeah, super cool. So doing the CG on the RCCG machine makes getting your measurements so much easier. So obviously transferring the mark from the leading edge to the fuselage was kind of a key thing to do. But we got that measurement, got all of our measurements, and just working on the CG. We will have to add, or basically some weight in the back is what it is. So had I known that, I was thinking while I was doing this process, I wouldn't have put the compressor in the nose, but the downside is There's really nowhere else to put the compressor. The only other place we could have put it would be in the back where previously there was all of the turbine stuff mounted back there, like the battery and the fuel pump and everything, if you remember, underneath the turbine essentially. So yeah, that would have been fine. But even then, the compressor's pretty long. I don't know if it would have fit. So, but we're gonna add a little bit of weight in the back and get this thing CG'd properly. Very happy. And just as we're wrapping up the F-100, our perfect time delivery shows up, our Revic order. There's a lot of wing bags in this order and perhaps a fuselage bag or two. Let's open these guys up and take a look. Some of what's in there is for that. And we got 4 planes worth of bags. So we've got F-100 bags right there, just wing bags. We've got Picarito for me, fuse bags, wing bags. F-15 wing bags, those are gigantic, and horizontal stab bags. And we've also got the fuselage bag and wing bags for the Narila Glacial aircraft as well. So if you guys are not aware, here at the Lighter Side of RC, we are a Revic or Revoc dealer. If you take Revic and flip it around, it happens to be the word cover. Yeah, if you need any help ordering your bags or you want to order through us, we do get a small kickback when you order your bags through us. So, and we take care of all the ordering stuff. So anyways, you can reach out to us, obviously by email. Best bags for protecting your aircraft, either from transport, hangar rash, everything. They're phenomenal. All of my planes have the Revic bag sets, and I've been in the habit of getting fuselage bags for all of them as well, and have loved that as well. Well guys, that wraps up the F-100 from BVM, the museum aircraft. There was a comment in the video, one of the last videos, why do I keep calling it a museum piece? Well, I call it a museum piece because the hundreds of hours that went into building this aircraft by whoever built it originally is number one. It's amazing. It's been sitting in an office for 15 years. The detail on it is phenomenal. The flight metal's amazing. It's just a top-notch finish on this aircraft. Today is March 10th, as I'm recording this. Friday the 14th, we drive to Tucson Jets, be there in about 3 days after the 14th, and assuming everything goes well, we're going to be mating this aircraft at Tucson Jets. Of course, we'll have video footage of it as well too, and very, very much looking forward to seeing this aircraft fly. I know the owner, who's been staring at it for 15 years, is very excited as well too. It was definitely a challenge. Probably to date the most challenging aircraft. I can think of a few other ones that I really struggled with. The smaller F-14 gear, the Israeli Air Force F-16 last year was a struggle. This one definitely takes the cake as far as one of the most challenging, and this was just a refit. So it was a lot of work, but looking forward to it. If you guys watched the whole series, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for your positive comments, kind words. Also want to give a shout out to channel members. Thank you, channel members, for doing what you do, for supporting the channel. Yes, it costs something every month, and if you don't know what channel membership is, all of our channel members get early access to our videos. We usually have like 1 to 4 videos uploaded to YouTube in advance. And that's like 1 to 2 weeks at a time. Sometimes we're falling behind a little bit, but channel members get to see all those videos early. It is a paid thing, but thank you, channel members, for doing that. Thank you guys for watching. Looking forward to Tucson. We'll see you in the next video. I'm very excited to see everybody at Turbines and Tumbleweeds in Sweetwater, Texas, October 2nd to October 5th, 2025. See you there.